Okay, we're live, Lisa.
Well, hello, Chi fam. Hope everybody's doing well, even
What?
with this thunderstorm going on here.
Oh, we need the rain, anyways, right?
You do. You do.
We are so dry here in Cali. So I feel like this year winter came by so late. Do you feel
Really?
that way? Well, because
No.
so I fish a lot, right? I fish with my
Yeah.
son and stuff like that. So like I feel like um the fish are coming in so late.
Okay, so that's probably why you would know that.
Yeah, I feel like they're coming so late. Normally around this time it should be a little bit more active, but it's not. So I feel like it's because we have too much of a cold front and that affects the fishing a lot. So I
That
feel
makes
like
sense.
winter came by so late this year because it's already over, right? We're in spring and it's like now it's feels more like winter than it did a couple months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. That
So
makes
that's how
sense.
I feel. That's how I feel. But hey, today we got a topic for all you guys. I'm excited to talk about this. Me and Lisa have been kind of preparing this for like a little bit over a month now. And we finally decided, we're gonna share with all you guys tonight. So hopefully you guys could take some of this that we're gonna be talking about this new program and run with it. Ask a lot of questions because it is a new program, but before we jump into that, I do want to give a market update. And before I do that, don't forget to like this video and share it with friends and family. And if you guys have any questions, remember going to the live chat so that way we could see it and answer your questions accordingly. Okay. But without further ado, let me go into a market update for this week. So let me just share my screen. There you go. You guys know this chart right here. You guys all love this chart. Let's just look. All right. Homes went up for sale slightly, 3.7%. New listings went down 16%.
Oh
Whoa,
my
that's a
my my.
lot. That's a lot. 16%.
Mm.
Sold homes went down 7%. I am curious. Hold on, let me go up and open up um pendings as well. I am very curious. Pending homes went down 6%. Man, that's a lot. That's very little inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. That's pretty nuts. Okay, let's go over to this. Average price per square foot. Of course, it went up 3% from last week. Days on the market. 12 days. 12 days. Wow. 12 days. It's all those cash buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Let's go over average price per square foot. Look, everything's gone up. Active price went up zero point 0.6. Sold price went up almost 5% from last week.
In just 1 week.
In just one
And the
week.
inventory has gone down.
Inventory has gone down. Inventory has gone down so much. I kind of want to talk about that real quick before we move
Yeah.
forward. I think the reason why homes for sale increased about 4% is because a lot of the homes that did not sell came back into the market. Because remember, this column right here
Mm-hmm.
indicates the total amount of homes for sale in Sac County. This is for Sac County, only Sac County. Okay. Um, I think that's why this number went up because I think a lot of homes that were pending fell through and the sellers had to put it back on the market. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why this number went up. Does that make sense?
Oh
Hopefully
yeah,
that makes sense.
absolutely. Chia, can you
And
elaborate on more why you think that some of these homes went back on the market?
I feel it's because interest rates went up. Maybe maybe some of these buyers, when they were looking, maybe they got pre-approved at 4%, 3.5%, and that was like a few months ago, and they never got an update despite rates going up on a daily, right? And they finally found a home with their agent. They locked it under the contract, and once they started going through the updates of the interest rates, locking it in, they saw, holy smokes, it's no longer 3.5%. It's 5.5% now. That's 2 points. And based off of that, how much of a change in mortgage payments is that, Lisa? On the top of your head, 2% change.
On what? I mean,
Let's
we're
say
talking about
$450,000.
okay, so $450,000. Let me do the math real quick for you guys. Okay, let's say from 3.5 to 5.5, right?
Yeah.
From 3.5, we're talking about 2566 of. Okay.
Yeah, because this is so low.
It's a lot, guys.
It's a lot. It's a lot different.
It's a good amount of a difference. Okay.
How much?
Okay.
Seeing the numbers, seeing is believing, right? So the number makes it a little bit more easier to grasp, because we say it a lot.
It's about
$500 difference. $500.
Let's just say they did all their due diligence, because 3.5 was probably, I would say, in the beginning of the year. Okay, Chia, let's just say it was 4.5 up to 5.5. I have a transaction right now that we locked her in at 4.625, and the interest rate is at 5.5 right now. So let's talk about a more closer number. At 4.625 versus 5.5, we're talking about $230 of a difference for a 450 purchase price. Okay. So if you're right there on the cusp, that's one of the reasons. That's why I wanted to ask that question. One of the other things is too, because not as many homes are selling. Okay, with all that data, Chia, we're up against a situation where the appraisal also hasn't caught up. So now they in the gap starts getting bigger and bigger. And what ends up happening when, although all the numbers are correct, but there's not, they had 10,000, they had 20,000 of the appraisal gap, but they definitely don't have 50 or 100,000 of a gap. And more and more houses, if you're looking at homes past the 800,000 purchase price, it's more and more common.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, like on top of rates going up and people's payments are jumping and now they're canceling, I think, like what you said, appraisal gaps are too wide of a gap now because it hasn't caught up to the comps yet around the area. So appraisals aren't utilizing it. And now they can't consider it, right? Because appraisers not going to consider a comp on a pending home.
Correct.
They're only going to consider a home that is sold. So if less homes are actually sold, it's really hard for a appraiser to pull up information about that neighborhood on that home. So now if the seller is still stuck in the way of, nope, it's either my price or I'm not selling it, then the buyer that doesn't want to cover the difference of the appraisal gap is going to cancel. So now the seller has to put their home back on the market. So that's why this is the case. Now, this is very bad because, one, new listings decreased. Okay. New listing is a major player in whether or not there's going to be an indicator of the market shifting. If new listing is low, like right here, 16% just from last week, then it's kind of telling us that the market, nobody wants to sell a home. And if there's no inventory coming to the market, that's why this is gonna keep going up, guys.
Right. The
Look,
demand is continuously, not just
that's where it's
slightly
gonna go
higher,
up.
guys, but the demand is continuously significantly higher than the supply right now.
Somebody asked me the other day, Chia, interest rates are in the 5% now. Why is prices still up? Shouldn't it like go down naturally?
Yeah.
Naturally, you would think that. But we are in such a weird market right now, right, Lisa? Where there is
Yeah.
no inventory.
Yeah.
So, because there is no inventory, it is still causing people to outbid these homes that
Right.
are available. That is available. So, when they have to compete against the available inventory, that's why this is getting jacked up. Because you got to
Right.
consider, these buyers are thinking, shoot, I waited maybe 2 weeks for this home to come on the market because I saw everything that's already available to me in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So because I've already seen everything in the market and I'm waiting for new homes to hit the market, and now this home came up, I'm gonna bid on it because I don't know how long it's gonna take for the next home that I want to hit the market. So
Right.
then now they overcompete. But he or she is not the only person thinking like that.
Yeah.
Think of that on a big, wider spread of maybe hundreds of buyers, thousands of buyers thinking that way. So then when they all see the same home, they go into bidding mode.
Mm-hmm. So I would like to add a little bit to that too, okay, Chia, if I may?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, guys, just so that you guys know, not only is interest rate rising, guess what else is rising? Rent.
Oh, yeah.
Rent is rising. Why is rent
Mm-hmm.
rising too? You have to understand if investors are buying properties and investor interest rate is even higher, it's in the 6.5% right now, okay, guys? Which means they have to charge a higher rent amount. And those of you guys who have your landlords saying that, hey, I'm going to sell my property and everything like that, I'm going to give you 60, 90 days and stuff, okay? Those of you that are looking for other rental properties, how many of you are now seeing rent for a normal 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom starting to go in the 3,000 range? More and more of that is also happening. So because things are going up, would you rather still be a homeowner or continue to rent? And this question is, there's no yes or no or right or wrong for anybody. You got to take a look at your financial situation to see which of those numbers work better for you and your family.
Mm-hmm. Joe says, I believe once rates reach up to 6 to 7%, it will start crashing by next year. Um, I would say, Joe. Well, actually, before I say what I want to say, Lisa, what do you think about that?
Rates in the 6 and 7% is not unusual, guys. I know it seems unusual now because you guys are so used to it being so low,
We're
but
spoiled with 3.5%.
you are. And if I tell you guys, back in the days I can buy candy for 5 cents. That wasn't my generation. That was an older generation. It didn't resonate with me either. Okay. So in 2005, I'm telling you guys this, and I was like, oh, that's way long ago, Lisa. I was like, that's true. But 6-7% is not unusual. Okay. So even if it goes up there, if the demand continues to be higher than the supply, that won't make a difference. I'll give you a perfect example. Did you guys know that luxury goods, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes, they made a killing during COVID too? Okay, they're one of the higher profitable, most profitable companies. So if you have stocks invested in those types of companies, you've probably already seen that. And they continue to increase their prices by a significant amount, and people are still buying it because the demand, again, is still a heck of a lot more than the supply.
Mm-hmm. We already know why the sales went up, and we
Yeah.
already know how people got all that money to start buying Louis Vuittons during that time. But we're not going to talk about that in this session. But yeah, Joe, I agree with what Lisa said. We have been spoiled seeing high twos and low
Mhm.
threes for so long that when we saw even 6% or 7% that you're projecting, we're thinking, oh my God, this is hecka high. But remember, like my mom, when she bought her home, she bought it at 11%. And that was low for her during that time.
Mhm.
11%. So I would say this, even if it reaches 6 or 7%, I don't think it's gonna trigger a crash until what you see here, the months worth of inventory goes up. I've
Correct.
been
And
preaching about this, and I'm gonna continue to preach about it, and I'm gonna put my money on it until this
right.
months of inventory reaches past point six, going upwards of 3.0 or 4.0, 4 months worth of inventory and steady, then we'll start noticing the market correcting itself, prices coming down. But
Correct.
until then, if this month's worth of inventory is still like this, under a month's worth of inventory, even if the rates were at 6 or 7%, prices are still gonna go up.
Hmm. And realistically, guys, I mean, there is only a certain amount of land left to build, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just assume that there's still a whole bunch of land that's still left and whatnot, but they're not able to have enough laborers to build that. So still, we're still stuck in and not enough people selling. Keep also in mind those that already currently own a house and have that interest rate at less than 5%. Those that bought with us 2, 3 years ago that were able to take advantage of that. Now they're looking was like, well, if the interest rate is 6, 7, 8%, I'm definitely not going to sell because I don't want a mortgage for 6, 7, 8% when I
Mm-hmm.
already have one for 3%. And I'm just going to go ahead and just upgrade my house. So
Yep.
now less and less people are continuing to hold on to their house because they're feeling the exact same way as you. The interest rate
Yep.
is too high. And again, the supply and demand, less and less people are selling their house. That probably is one of the reasons why.
That is exactly the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thanks for the comment, Joe. Chang says, question to you, Chia. If a house is overpriced and has been
Mm-hmm.
on the market for about 6 months, how would you structure the offer? Thanks. If the home has been on the market for 6 months, first, you got to look at who the seller is. And if it's like, let's say, uh, a, what is that company called again? I already forgot. That's buying all the home. If it's like a Zillow, that's the
Yeah. Open door.
seller, or like an open door, then it's
Yeah.
typical that it's been on the market for 6 months
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
still overpriced. So for that, the way you structure it, if you don't give them asking, they're not gonna budge. That's just how they are. But if it's a private owner and it's been on the market for 6 months and it's overpriced, I would advise my buyers to structure the offer in a way of, you know what, I'm gonna keep all my contingencies. I'm gonna make sure I keep my escrows pretty typical, which is 30 days, no less. I'm gonna take my time on this house. Um, and maybe I'll lowball it, maybe 10, 20,000. Or if I did my job and I comped the home, let's say the home is about 500K and it's in the comps around that area is 450. Then I would probably throw in an offer right at 450. And then along with the offer, I'll probably send in some comps why I gave them such a low ball offer from their overpriced listing to justify why my offer is low. That's what I would do. He
I love
says,
that you're so thorough and you're basically trying to beat them to the punch, trying
yeah,
to
that's what I
not,
would do.
yeah. I mean, a lot of times when sellers list it that high and thinking that they're going to get that price, and even if you come in with a, true market value or even high, a little slightly higher, it can be also an ego thing. Okay.
It is.
Um, and
Sellers right
most
now are
people,
taking advantage of the situation of the market.
hmm absolutely.
That's what's going on.
Hmm.
Ching says, I know who the seller is. You're talking about Blackstone.
That too.
Blackstone, same thing, like they're
Mhm.
basically gonna, because then they don't need the money, that's why they're buying all these homes. They're trying to hedge. But anyways, if you know the seller, same thing, you know. Hopefully it's not a personal friend or family, but even so, this is a business transaction, so you have to keep it business. You will still have to. I would not change my offer. From what I mentioned earlier, given the offer at what the market value of that home is, send in all the costs to support why your offer is lower than the asking price, and keep everything typical. All the contingencies. Take your time on the due diligence. All of that. That's what I would do. And of course, it also depends on if this home is on the market or if it's off market, right? Knowing you, Chang, it's probably off market. It's probably off market. But thanks for the question, bro. All right. So today's topic, okay, it's really more gears towards buyers. Okay, you, the buyer in this market, has been in this market for like maybe the past year and a half to 2 years. That you guys are getting outbid by cash buyers, and you guys are just tired. You're submitting over asking prices on homes that you fall in love with, but you're not getting it accepted because you got outbid by a cash buyer, and the sellers are preferring the cash buyers because look, they're not doing appraisals, so they ain't got no contingencies going in. So you're getting beat by those type of buyers right now. I want to talk about this program with all you guys because that might be able to change everything I just mentioned. It might be able to
Mhm.
help you guys even the playing field with these cash buyers, even if you don't have the full cash to buy the home outright. You can
Right.
still utilize your loan that you will qualify with. But with this program, it's going to make your offer look like a cash offer instead of if it was FHA or conventional. And I'm going to have Lisa talk more about this. This is going to be my first time hearing about it too because I got a lot of questions because when it comes to some of my clients utilizing a new program that I'm not familiar with, I won't know how to kind of educate them and advise them around it. So that's why we're talking about this program today so that I could learn and I could ask all the questions that I feel you guys might want to ask as well. So, Lisa,
Yeah.
take it from me.
Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much for taking time to really understand this. It may be a little bit more complicated because it's really brand new. Not all
How
lenders do
old?
it.
How old?
I'm sorry? A little over a month, guys. Okay,
The
we've had it
program's
for a
only a
little
month
over a
old.
month. Right. And one of the questions that I pose my owners of my company and everything like that, who are amazing, wonderful people, I'm saying I'm doing more pre-approvals than I've ever done, but my people are getting outbidded. I'm finding myself being a cheerleader, keeping people motivated. But how do we fix the problem of not having enough inventory? So I'm going to talk about the situation earlier. The reason why I asked these questions with you, Chia, when we were talking about sellers and sellers not wanting to hop over, because on a seller's point of view, when they already own a house, they're looking at the whole. Okay, when do I jump in? This is like a double Dutch situation where I have no idea when I should jump in because Chia, if you list my property for sale and everything like that, and I haven't secured a property, am I gonna be homeless? Am I gonna be stuck
Yeah.
living with my sister who told me that she's only going to give me 6 months to solidify a house? And it's not that I don't want to, but I'm in a pickle. And plus, just so that you know, when a seller sells their property and trying to get another property and they put it as a contingent situation, the likelihood of you winning that offer is very, very slim. And here's
Mhm.
where we get into a more of a situation because the person who's selling the house is already securing another house. And we got this like sometimes seller is buying to a buyer who's also selling their house, who's continuing. And
Mm.
I've seen that four-way
Yep.
chain, and it gets very complicated because if one lender didn't do their due diligence, it affects four
Everybody.
transactions. It affects everybody. So how do you help that? This program really is for that. We want to pump up the market a little bit more so our people don't have to have a different way and not have to worry about that double Dutch situation. It is for many buyers, okay? But I want to stress that portion first because it's not for everybody. It's not cheap, okay? But it is very, very doable. So I'm going to share that with you guys, okay?
What do you mean it's not for everyone? So it's only for sellers that's becoming a buyer?
No, not necessarily, Chia. Okay. But you do have to have some wiggle room. First of all, this is not a bank program. We have an investor that's willing to buy the house in cash on your behalf first. Then you will buy it back from the investor at the
Mm,
same price. At the same price, the investor bought it for you. So let me say that again. The investor will buy it on your behalf, which means it is not your house yet until you buy it back from the investor. That's important because when I show you what the costs are to have this program, you will analyze it yourself if this makes sense for you. Okay?
okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at those numbers. Okay.
It's
Is
up.
everybody seeing this now? Are you seeing
Mm-hmm.
it, Chia?
Yep.
Actually, let me change this because I. All right, so I'm gonna have 3 price points here. For first-time buyers, it's typically 450, and 500, okay? So I'm gonna start small. We can always change that later on. So on this program, the person's putting 5%. I'm gonna go scroll down to what this program entails, okay? So there is an upfront cost. When the investor is buying it for you, there's an upfront cost of 2.95% of the purchase price. If you're purchasing a $400,000 home, that fee is $11,800. That is non-refundable. There's also a processing fee, okay, of $14.95. So those two fees together are a little over $13,000 for a $400,000
When is
house.
when is that money due?
So this money is so it also is because whatever the closing cost is, which again, this is roughly the closing cost estimate that the investor, when they buy the home on your behalf, they're shelling out this much too. So that is also to cover a portion of that. They make very, very little profit, as you can see. If you subtract 13,295 from that $9,800,
It's about
they're really not
4,000,
making much
give
at
or
all.
take.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're really not making much at all. Their incentive is not to make beaucoup dollars off of consumers. Their incentive really is to have a way, they have these deep pockets, okay? They're really hoping that it will help pump up the market. And the reason why I mentioned earlier, it's for you people who already own a home who are doing this double dutch instead of waiting for your house to be sold. This is an absolutely great option for you to buy first, utilize the investor's cash that you already know that you have that, and also prepare your house. Whereas now you don't have to put in a contingent type of sale. They do
Is the
not.
investor is the sorry to interrupt. The investor
That's
that's
okay.
gonna be buying the house for the client, what's the time limit that the client needs to get in order to buy it back? Is there going to be like a time constraint on them?
So typically, okay, the extent is they'll give you 12 months. But after 6 months, okay, they will charge an additional 1%. So I don't recommend for you to get in and think about it
1% where? 1% on where? On the refundable cash offer?
on the non-refundable. So you see how this non-refundable is 2.95% already?
Yeah.
If it extends after 6 months, which they will allow, but they will charge another 1%. Okay, so it's not meant for them to hold on to the house long. It's meant for a favor for you as a buyer to solidify that house while you're getting ready to sell your house, if you're getting ready to sell your house. Okay,
What is the 2.95% based off from? Is it based off of the total purchase price?
correct. So it's 2.95% off of the $400,000.
Okay, so that's non-refundable. And you
Correct.
said that when did you say that it was required by the client, the buyer?
Upfront. So as soon
Upfront.
as the
So
investor, right, as soon as the investor is buying this on your behalf, all of that has to be in escrow.
the
The investor will
$13,000.
require for you to put that money into the escrow company, which is a third party. They hold on to that money. Okay. They
Escrow,
don't give
yeah.
it to the investor yet. They just,
Right.
the investor just wants to make sure all of that is in place. Now, when the investor buys that home for you and they're buying it from the seller, whatever the seller is requiring for them to pay, that non-refundable fee will pay for whatever that's needed on that end.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
Okay. So in this situation, a $400,000 property, there's a non-refundable fee of $13,295. Now,
Right.
let's say you are in the middle of selling your house. You do not want to stretch this long because there is a monthly rent you have to pay. The monthly rent is 0.6% per month, which comes out to be a little over 7% annually. Okay, guys? So it's $2,400. The good thing is you're not paying property tax or home insurance or anything like that. So if you were to put 5% your monthly payment, okay, with the interest rate of 5.25% right now, okay, it's actually $26.73.37, which is actually more than what they're charging you on rent. So it's not terrible. But if you already are paying rent right now on a house that you own, it's not advisable for you to keep both at the same time for a long time.
The monthly rent, would the 2,400, would that go towards the principal balance of the home?
It does not. It does not. The reason why the investor is putting it in that is because, again, they have the deep pockets, but they want to be able to help as many people as possible. This is a way for us to incentivize sellers to sell, okay, move into their house right now and then release their house, okay? So the longer you stay here.
So in other words, for a buyer that's going to think about utilizing this program, don't rent the house that you're about to buy from the investors long, okay?
Correct.
Try to repurchase it back ASAP the moment it closes.
Correct. The good news is the investor will sell it back for you. So if the house, they bought it for you at 400, they're not gonna, upsell and sell it to you for 425, 450. No, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna sell it back for you for the exact same amount. Okay. This is just to give you a little bit more incentive and buy you some time. Okay.
Okay.
So there is also a security deposit. And that's the reason is if you decide, and unfortunately there are people who are like, they decide that they don't actually want to sell that house, buy the house anymore. They have buyer's remorse or anything like that. So you got to really, really think thoroughly whether or not you want this house or not. Okay. There's just a security deposit. If there's anything issues of the house, afterwards, they're going to keep that. That is refundable. Okay. The security deposit is refundable if all is good. And it should be. Okay. There is a 3% as well that needs to be placed in escrow up front. This will be applied. It will be applied to the purchase. So if you're putting 5% down, now when you're purchasing it back from them, they already have your 3%. So you really only need to come up with the other 2%. Okay. So when the investor is buying it from you at a $400,000 price, you still have to come in with an estimate amount of $43,390
for a $400,000 home.
Correct. Okay. So again, guys, it's not for everybody. I know it's difficult because not everybody's going to have that amount to shell out with. Okay. And the reason why they're collecting all of this up front is if you change your mind and decide that you do not want to buy it back after 12 months, okay, you forego this deposit completely. Okay. And they will get ready to list that property to sell. Now, let's just say, for instance, you didn't prepare yourself, you didn't have that little bit of a cushion or anything like that, or your debt to income ratio was right there at the cusp. So what if the interest rate now is 6.5% when you're trying to buy back from the investor? Well, in this situation, I would say, don't max out your debt to income ratio. Don't be in that situation. I'm going to cushion it for a 2% rate increase just in case. So then that way you do have wiggle room, or in the event that it goes higher, at least instead of putting 5%, now you can put 10%, something of that sort. Okay. You
So
have to
so you
be,
would sorry.
that's
So
okay. It's a lot.
so yeah, it's a lot. So
There's
for
a lot of
a
information.
buyer that's gonna think about utilizing this, would you
Mhm.
vet them first on their personal
Absolutely.
situation before? Because let's say,
Absolutely.
so it wouldn't be one of those things where they went with this and now they're out $43,000, and then shoot, something came up and they
Correct.
didn't prepare for it.
Okay. So the investor, our investor, our in-house investor, will only entertain this if they are fully pre-qualified through
Got it.
us. Okay.
Got it.
Because they know that we're going to do our due diligence. They know that we know the program inside and out, and that we have that cushion in order to do this. If you have a pre-qualification from somewhere else, I'm sorry, guys, but they're not going to accept it, because unfortunately, not all lenders do all of the due diligence, and they're not going to take that chance.
Can't you guys just cross qualify them?
Um, they we can Chia, but they're not going to buy it.
They would have to be pre-approved with you
Right.
guys.
I mean, we're convincing them. We're trying to convince them. It's like, hey, we really need something out there to pump up, to incentivize sellers to want to sell their property. So hopefully, the demand and the supply, that margin will be a little bit less to help our people be homeowners, right, Chia? And
Yeah.
for us to say, hey, if we cross qualify with you, allow this. We've already asked that question, Chia, and it was a hard no.
So now my next question would be, this is just for the cash investor buying it on behalf of the buyer the first time. When
Correct.
when the buyer, the client, is repurchasing it back from the cash investor, what is their closing cost? Because they have closing costs too. Is that going to be added onto this too? Because then that's twice the
That's
closing
correct.
cost for the buyer.
And you're very, very right about that, Chia. You're very right. When you repurchase it back, okay, then there is another set of closing costs. That's the same way when you're getting a refinance anyway, okay? So the
Right?
true cost is not the upfront that you need to show to the investor, but with now the closing costs and everything like that, you're talking about roughly 53,000. Okay. Now, keep in mind, if you have that amount already and you have that wiggle room already, okay, um, to solidify and make sure that you actually get that house. If you look at a home and you're saying, "Oh my gosh, I love it so much. It's a 10 for me. It's a 9 for me. It's an 8 for me," right? Like, this is it. I'm never going to move. If I get this house, I'm never going to move. Is it worth it for you to shell out 53,000 to get $400,000 property? Okay? That's only a question that you can answer.
So so just from seeing the numbers and hearing about this, I
Mhm.
feel like it is very, very geared towards a specific home buyer. Okay,
Correct.
guys. For example, this is more geared towards a specific home buyer that is overbidding and willing to pay the appraisal gap. For example,
Correct. Correct.
if we're going based off of the $400,000 home purchase price, maybe
Mhm.
the asking list price on this home was maybe 350. Okay, and because they overbid due to the nature of the market today, it came up to 400K. And maybe they got served a counter from the seller stating that, hey, what if it doesn't appraise? Are you going to offer a appraisal gap of the cash difference if it only appraises at 350? But you submitted 400K, and that's why I'm going to go with your offer, buyer. This is more catered towards that type of buyer. And now a lot of you guys are probably saying, shoot, um, is there even that type of buyer out there right now that is doing that? Yes, there is that buyer right now that is paying the cash difference if it doesn't
Right.
appraise. And whether it's 50,000 in that scenario, 20,000, 10,000, 30,000, it is happening right now. Okay, so I feel like this program is more catered towards that type of buyer that already has some cash saved up, this is not for the typical buyer that has barely enough for only the closing costs and down payment.
That's
This is
correct. Yeah,
not for that buyer.
that's correct. That's correct. You don't want to be in a situation where you're stretched so thin that you can't, even when you want to, you can't buy back from the investor. Okay. And
Right.
even as you can see, I showed you the numbers because the investor really isn't making much off of this to begin with. Okay. So they can, there, if there's any issues with the house, they will not be doing any repairs because then now they're going to be in the hole if they did that. So even though they're not going to do the inspection, they're not going to do the appraisal, okay, and they're not doing a loan. So you're kind of come in with a very strong offer. But I would highly recommend for you to do your due diligence anyway, okay? And
Question.
yes,
So you said that there's some deposits and fees that is non-refundable
correct,
when the investor is in the process of buying the home. What
correct.
if during that process the buyer wants to do inspections, right? And let's say we did inspections and found out, shoot, the home needs about $50,000 worth of repairs that the seller doesn't want to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of that, they cancel before the investor could even buy it for the buyer. Would that non-refundable deposit get refunded now because it wasn't the buyer's fault that they couldn't perform? It was the fact that the sellers did not agree to fix the items during the inspection phase.
Okay, so let's just say, for instance, you do this for the investor, but you don't remove any contingencies and you want to do all of those due diligence, right?
Yep.
Then if it doesn't close, okay, if there was no cost to the investor at all, then yes, that can be refundable.
Got it. So only in
Okay,
that event is where that non-refundable deposit fees gets refunded back to the buyer because the investor never went through with the sale.
correct. Now, just keep in mind, okay, Chia, because I've seen this a lot too. And this is where it breaks my heart as a lender because I will never advise to come in with no loan contingencies. Any good loan
For
officer, I
sure.
don't think will ever do that because anything can happen. And now you have no security whatsoever. Okay. So if you don't have anything in place, if you want to make it really, really secure and your people is like, don't worry about it. That's going to be minor stuff. Okay. If you as a buyer know that you have the funds to fix whatever needs to be fixing and everything like that, and you just want to get the house, okay, great. That's exactly what this program is for, to give you that edge. But if you're going to be looking at a property that's kind of a fixer upper, the investor might not even buy it. The investor will not buy everything. So when you put in an offer, okay, I see that face, Chia. So I know you're gonna
Yeah,
ask
yeah, yeah.
questions.
So the
Okay.
investor's not gonna buy every home,
No,
even
they're
if the
not.
buyer loves it.
Even if the buyer loves it, okay? And this is the reason why. Because they're looking at it as a risk factor too. Because think about it. It's a risk on their side. If you decide you don't want to buy it and they know already, it's like, look, dude, there's no comps to justify this. We're talking, okay, I can see $15,000-$20,000 of an appraisal gap difference, which I believe in 2-3 months that might make the difference, and the buyer can still do it without having to do the appraisal gap at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about 50, 100, $150,000 of a gap, which is coming into commonality right now, even in our Sacramento County, guys. Okay. I have an appraiser who's been in the business for a really long time. He's been on the show before and he's very, very knowledgeable in the area. And he's telling me that
I'm
he's
getting
seeing more and more of that
comments.
happen. Yeah.
I'm getting comments saying,
Yes.
I
Go ahead.
don't
Go ahead. Go ahead.
know.
Yeah. It's not for
they're
everybody, guys.
seeing they're seeing the fees and the numbers and they're like, I don't know. That's a lot of money and it's a lot of risk. So yeah, guys, like this, it doesn't seem like this program is gonna be meant for everyone, and
It's not.
unfortunately with everything in life, right, there's pros and cons. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are that specific buyer, like what I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
earlier, that needs to sell and need the funds to buy a house and seal another deal on a house, this is perfect for that. Or if you're a buyer that's buying right now and you've been submitting a lot of offers that are over asking price and you've been putting in the terms that you're willing to pay the difference if it doesn't appraise, this program might be for you because you've been outbidded for the past couple of months and you're tired of looking with your agent. Gas is expensive now, so you've been tired of pumping gas for your car and you just want a home already because each week that you don't find a home, prices have been going up on average 3 to 5%, like what you guys saw earlier when I did the market update. If that is you, this program might be a solution to that because now you might be able to at least appeal to the sellers that, hey, you're a cash buyer.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But I do like that is the option. And the other thing I do like about this program right here from the private investor is, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought.
It's a lot. It's very, very new, guys.
It is a lot. This is a lot.
And to understand it, I mean, again, it took a while for us to even present this on ChiaTalks because, again, it's not a simple program and it's not for everybody. It is really catered to pump up the inventory with the sellers who.
Darn it.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
I was hoping it was going to be a solution for all. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing, okay? It's a trickle effect. If we can incentivize, which this program is to incentivize more sellers to not have to do the double Dutch situation and be able to solidify a house first, guess what, guys? More inventory will come into the market, which means, guess what? If the seller who's utilizing this program, okay, doesn't want to pay rent and their current mortgage right now, okay, they're going to be incentivized to sell faster, okay? And they want the best bang of their buck. They've already secured a house. They may not be as attracted to the next cash buyer. They may be more attracted to the person like yourself who's a first-time buyer who is willing to pay a little bit more. And that's the thing. You're already willing to pay a higher price than the cash buyer anyway, okay, to make your offer more attractive. So this may be an option. It's not an option for everybody, but we're hoping that it's an option for homeowners to jump in and buy the next house to free up some inventory in order for more people to, like you, to be able to buy their home.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really the program right there. So, if you guys want to ask any questions or concerns regarding this, you guys are confused still about some things that we just mentioned, remember you guys could ask away in the live chat below, so that way me and Lisa could answer them accordingly. Or if you guys have other questions for us that's not related to this, you guys can ask away also. Okay, me and Lisa are here for you guys. But Lisa, can you pull up the numbers again? I kind of want to go over some of that number again. Let me know when you got it in full screen.
Sure.
Got it. Okay. So can you compare, if a traditional buyer is not utilizing this, how much would their total cash to close be for the 400K?
Absolutely. So if you're
I think we lost Lisa. Oh, yeah, I think we lost Lisa. Okay, yeah, we lost Lisa. Oh, I guess it's just me and you right now, Chi fams. If you guys have questions for me, let me know. Maybe in the meantime, I'm curious. I kind of want you guys to see what's been coming back on the market. So maybe we can kind of go over that. Let me just pull this up real quick. Okay. For the past week, homes that's been back on the market, it's about 480 homes that hit the market again. What's going on, Eva? I'm doing good. We just lost Lisa, but glad to have you on board. So these are all the homes that came back on the market. Let's find out why. Okay, so let's look at this one. It's been 10 days. Oh, 10 days only. Wow. So they accepted an offer fast on this. And it's back on the market. Brand new roof. Okay, pool resurfacing. Okay. Something like this, you know what I think happened? 10 days on it's only been 10 days on the market and it's back. So something like this, do not, if you're a first time home buyer, do not mistake this listing as is the market crashing because it came back on the market. No, for this scenario on this listing, because it's only been 10 days, I think what happened was they accepted an offer. Like maybe it was only like 1 or 2 days on the market. Okay. And when they accepted the offer, maybe that buyer submitted multiple offers on multiple homes. And one of the other homes that they got an offer accepted on top of this home came back and they preferred the other home more. So then they decided not to respond back to this one. I know that's very shady, but I'm telling you guys, in this market, a lot of buyers are very, you could say, they're very motivated. Okay, that's a kind word to say. They're very motivated, so they're submitting a lot of offers just so that way they can have a chance. Because if they only submit one by one of the offers not getting accepted, they lost out on another home that they wanted to submit an offer on. Okay, so this might be a scenario based off of that. Okay, because 10 days on the market, they did not have enough time to do home inspections. So that might not even be the reason why it came back on the market. It's because they were too quick to pick an offer. Maybe that offer was super strong, but then when they pick it, that buyer had cold feet and they backed out and it's back on the market again. So it might be going pending soon again, because if they did receive multiple offers, the seller's agent might be calling all those offers back saying, hey, look, we're back on the market. Is your buyer still interested? So hopefully that makes sense. Eva is saying, I see more homes now, but not for the right deal. Homes are coming back on the market, like sellers are still trying to sell it for the price they want it for. So maybe that's why it's not the right deal. It's still a pretty strong market despite homes coming back on the market. So don't confuse homes coming back on the market for a market crash or market correction. Oh, look, Lisa's back.
Hey guys, I am so sorry. The
You're
lights
back.
and everything just went out. I guess this thunderstorm is causing that.
It's okay. We got a few questions. I decided to go over a different topic. So let me
Cool.
just answer some of these questions from Eva. Yeah, it seems like a few homes are coming back to the market. High interest rate. Yeah, you gotta
Mhm.
go back to the beginning of this live stream. Me and Lisa was talking about that, and a lot of the reasoning why homes are coming back on the market is because interest
Mhm.
rates. Okay, so people are putting bids in, especially new builds. Especially new builds. Buyers are going the new build route or canceling left and right, because you know why? Their contract was maybe 6 months ago when rates was like in 3%, and now
Mhm.
the home's not even built yet, so they can't lock in their rate, and it's at 5.5%. You think that
Mhm.
changed the payments? Heck yes. So that buyer scenario is canceling. And I've been getting new builds calling me saying, hey, Chia, you got a buyer? Like, we got
Mhm.
a lot that's been picked out already with upgrades and all that, but it's coming back on the market because a buyer canceled, but it's not ready yet. So you have a buyer that wants to buy at X amount. So that's going on right now with a lot of buyers, okay?
Right. For you guys who are in a new build type of situation, you have an option too, okay? Guys, take a look around that area. If you're willing to look at an older home that could be on sale in that
Yeah.
neighborhood, put that as a really good plan B. And in fact, when you are putting your name on the builder's site and everything like that, make sure you also continue, honestly, to look at the existing homes, because even though the interest rate is the same pretty much whether or not you buy an old home or a new home, the Melrose tax, the property tax is less. So that may definitely be your saving grace at still qualifying, because your debt to income ratio won't be as high because there's less property tax.
That is true. Remember, consider the overall cost, okay? People get confused because they got a quote from their lender and they're like, oh, yeah, I could qualify for 500K. But then when they go to a new bill that's at 450K, let's say, but Melrose is super high, tax on that side is higher, and there's HOAs, all of these other costs, maybe flood insurance, their debt to income got so much more higher. Now their 500K pre-approval went down to maybe like 430. They can't even buy that new build at 450.
Yeah.
So consider the overall cost, because that is your overall debt to income ratio that you should actually be getting your lender to calculate. And like what me and Lisa mentioned a few weeks ago on our last live stream, if you have not gotten an updated pre-approval based off of today's rates, you need to do it, because I think like what Eva was saying earlier, her seeing more homes coming back on the market now, it has a lot to do with that. Buyers are going based off of their interest rate. I don't know what it is, Lisa, but I swear, like some buyers think, maybe it's because they're not being educated by their reps, but a lot of buyers think that if they don't get an updated pre-approval, that means they're still stuck in the old interest rate.
Oh,
you know what I mean? On their pre-approval. So then they're afraid to get an update on their pre-approval, because they think, shoot, if I get an update, then that means I'm going based off of today's rate, and today's rate's too high. I prefer the last rate. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not how it works. Remember, it's a pre-qualification pre-approval letter for a reason. It has not been fully underwritten, approved. You have not locked in a rate yet, because you are not even in contract with the home. So you can't lock in the rate.
Yeah, exactly. You're very absolutely right about that, especially if you're getting one from a bank that just, pumped it out for you in 5, 10, 15 minutes. You do it really quickly online. Congratulations, here's your letter, printed out for you, but really didn't delve into what your debt to income ratio is. Hey, buddy, the qualification for this program is 43% debt to income ratio. You're at 42.5. So if the interest rate changes or anything like that, you're kind of in a tough situation. So do you have any more assets that I can add into this? Those of you who, have come to me and everything like that, I'm very conservative, and I'll cushion those numbers for you. And I share with you, hey, your debt to income ratio is this, your monthly savings plan potential is this. I love doing that because I want to set people up for success, so you don't have this disappointment later on. And right now, with the market the way that it is, guys, have that backup plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Understand that you're gonna have to bid up. That's just the way that the game is right now, unfortunately. Right? But it still beats out. For me, what I'm seeing, at least 8 out of 10 times, it's still better than rent. So, Chia, you mentioned earlier to share the numbers of what you need to come into, right? Is my screen still shared?
No, I don't see it no more.
Okay, so let me go ahead and reshare.
Yeah, while you got that pulled up, let me share this. Okay. All right, so let's do another one. Why this one came back on the market, or why it's not selling? It's been a total of almost 60 days. Okay, let's look. Okay, because let's look at the property history. Okay. All right, so it came on the market in February. It came on the market in February for $260,000. Okay. Nothing changed. They reduced the price to $230 at the end of February, and then they canceled it. They canceled it because it wasn't getting any activity in mid-April, and it's back on the market again. Okay, it's back on the market. and then now it's still at 230. So let's find out why it's not selling. Subject to inspections. Oh, I'm glad. Okay, so there's a tenant living here. Let me go over subject to inspections, okay, for all you guys that don't know what that means. If you're a buyer right now, you came across a home that you want to see and there is a tenant, and the term and your agent is telling you we can't look at the home until we submit an offer subject to inspection. What that means is that you submit the offer. Once they qualify you, and if they chose your offer, then they will allow you to go and see it. Because it is subject to inspections, that means that even though they accepted your offer, after you look at it, you have the right to cancel because it's subject to inspection. Okay, so let's say you looked at the home and you decide, shoot, I don't want to submit 230 on this no more. Maybe I want to change it to 200K because of the condition after I saw it. You could change it. Or shoot, I don't like it no more, I'm gonna cancel. You could do that. That's what subject to inspections is. Where they got this term from is from commercial, okay? Because when investors are buying commercial where there's 200 tenants and 200 units, they don't have time to go through everything. So they do it subject to inspection. They submit offers and they go and take their time looking through all the units. And then from there, if nothing goes bad, then they continue with the sale. This is the same way. The reason I'm sharing this information about the term subject to inspection with all you guys is I don't want you guys to shy away from homes that is subject to inspection. As a matter of fact, homes that are subject to inspection might be the way of you getting into a home this year, because this is the type of home that a lot of buyers see this term and they run away. So what does that mean for you? Less competition. Maybe there might not be nothing wrong with the home. It's just that this tenant doesn't want to keep letting the public come into their home in and out because they still live there. Maybe they got kids. Maybe some of their stuff got stolen during the open house. I don't know. But they have their reasoning why they only prefer to allow the buyers that submit an offer and gotten accepted to view the home, because then they're still the tenants. And the landlord doesn't want this tenant to leave because of all of the bombarding from people going in and out looking at the home, and now they're tired of it and they get out, and now the seller doesn't have anybody paying the rent, and it's vacant, and it hasn't been sold. So there could be a lot of reasoning why, but do not shy away from a home that is subject to inspections, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Eva says, my other theory, those homes that are coming back to the market have confirmed ghost add-ons. We don't know. Maybe. Maybe they went in. There was bad juju. I'm just happy to see more homes on the market. Waves of homes for sale. Well, hopefully, this creates like a wave of a steady market coming soon. But I don't think that's going to be the case, Eva. But Lisa, you got those numbers ready?
I do.
Let me know when you are ready to share that. We are a little bit over, but we'll finish and close up this live stream with the numbers. Kind of want to go over that again with you guys.
Okay.
Got it. Cool.
Okay.
So what would be the difference if they did not utilize it versus if they did utilize this program?
So say, for instance, if you are just putting 5% down, okay, what you'll need to come in with is a little shy of $30,000.
Okay.
For this one, what you'll need is roughly about 53. Okay. So we're talking about $23,000 of a difference. Okay. And keep in mind, these two are applicable to your actual purchase. You'll get the security deposit back if there's nothing wrong with the house, which again, that should make a little bit more of a difference. So, but to make it simple.
So realistically, yeah. Let's say they did go through with the home purchase. How much would they really be out of pocket, minus that deposit they're getting back and minus the earnest 3% that's being applied?
I'm going to say conservatively, guys, keep it at the 53 for simplicity, okay? Because it is not an easy program to understand right now, but let's just assume that it's 23,000. But okay, if you're putting 5% down, the difference is about 23,000. Okay, guys? So say for instance, what if you were putting 10% down? Okay. That might actually make a pretty difference. So if you're putting 10% down, it doesn't matter how much you put down. The fees are the same. So look at that. If you're a person, a 10%er, that difference is not that different.
So remember, guys, you guys are looking at this. You're like, wow, $20,000 different. That's a lot. I don't think it's for me. Remember that if you're going based off a real life scenario today, okay, go back to the numbers again. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
If we're going based off of a real life situation today, the buyer that Lisa mentioned earlier for 400K on that number scenario is coming in if they did not utilize this program. Okay, if their total cash is closed for the go back to the 5%.
Okay.
Their total cash to close is about 29,000, give or take, right? If they did not utilize this program, but Lisa did not even account for if that buyer had to pay appraisal gap. So let's say, okay, the actual listing price on this $400 purchase was $350. Okay, but because they submitted a over asking price to get their offer accepted, it now totals 400K. If in the event the appraisal only appraised at 350, you gotta add 50,000 on top of that $29,000, which is totaling now $79,000. Okay, so remember that is a real life situation that is going on right now in this market for buyers that are paying the gap if it doesn't appraise in order to get their offer accepted by the seller today. Okay, so if you consider it, go back to the number again. I'm sorry. If you consider that situation, then this program isn't so bad because total cash to close is 53,000, but you got your home.
Correct.
You're not paying the difference because it's already been bought at 400K for you. And now that became the comp. And now the investors selling it back to you at only what they bought it for, which is 400K. So then you're not coming in with the difference of $50,000. You're only coming in total of about conservatively $53,000 instead of $79,000 that I mentioned earlier for the scenario.
Correct.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Right. And the other thing is too, guys, I'm going to ask Chia this. Chia, when you're putting in an all cash offer versus a loan offer, okay, do you have to offer as high as a financing person who has to make their offer even more attractive?
Not really. Cash offers, sellers see a cash offer and their mentality totally changes from a loan offer. Their mentality changes to, shoot, it's a guaranteed I'm gonna get that price that they offer.
Correct.
So for a buyer that is versus a loan buyer, they're thinking, shoot, if it doesn't appraise at 40K, I'm not guaranteed 400K. I'm guaranteed whatever it is appraised at on top of what they're gonna only offer in cash. Because what if they're only willing to offer 10K outside of escrow or for the appraisal gap? What if they're only willing to offer 5K, 30K? Then at that point, for that scenario, they're only gonna get 370, 380. But with something like this, it's a guaranteed. So then a seller's mentality will shift now to where it's like, okay, you know what? Even if I submitted 380 all cash, I might be able to I would rather still choose that offer versus a 400K that is a loan, if that makes sense.
Correct. And again, guys, when I showed you guys the 10% mark, you see, it's really not that much of a difference. Okay. It makes no difference how much you put down. So if you are already willing to put that much more, and a little bit of an edge for you might get you that offer right now. The attractive offers when you're looking at financing, anybody putting at least 20%, and I say at least, but realistically, guys, I'm seeing my people who are doing at least 30% because it will cover the appraisal gap, because that 30%, if they have to lower it to 20% and take that additional 10% for their appraisal gap, the seller is more privy to those types of offers. So instead of you putting that much down, if you're going to put that much down anyway, it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, but then again, we just want to disclose after hearing about this program from LIZA, for the first time with all you guys, it's not for everyone.
Correct.
Okay, you gotta be a particular buyer in this market in order to even consider utilizing this program. But if it works out for you, it's a great program because you'll get the house now. You won't have to worry about going back out there with your agent, looking at homes, hoping and praying that your offer is going to get accepted, because it is accepted. The investor's buying it for you, and then you're repurchasing it from them ASAP the moment it closes. That should be the mentality going in if you're using this program. What's going on, V District? Yeah, so that is the mentality coming in to this program, okay? But without further ado, we are over the hour mark, and I don't want to take too much of your time. I figured, we just kind of share this with you guys. For those of you guys that think it's gonna benefit, great. Call LIZA, because like what LIZA mentioned, this investor is very particular about the lender that they utilize this program with. So right now, LIZA and their company is the only one that is probably working with this investor. So if you guys want to know more about it, you guys could probably call her and then go from there. And then for those of you guys that don't think this is for you, it's okay. Continue looking at homes with your agent. Continue putting in bids, competitive bids. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That home's gonna come easy. Okay. But other than that, thank you guys so much for all the engagements, all the questions, all the likes, all the sharings. Hopefully you guys been doing that. And me and LIZA will catch you guys next time. Okay.
All right.
Peace out.
Have a good one.